finally, amidst all this action, we get a chance to talk to rig genius Danny Boy about his rig choices on this type of venue. Now, you've been coming here for a number of years, and your rigs have evolved almost every year. Why is that?
Well, new materials come out for one, so you get to do things a little bit more effectively each time. But, you know, the fishing changes, so the rigs have to change. The fish are getting cuter, they're getting caught more and more, they learn how to deal with certain setups. You know, the lakes are very pressured. People come on holiday to France, the people from the last week have already gone home, they turn up to a lake with no one on it, and they think no one's ever fished it, you know, and then they cast out any old rig or the rig they're using in the UK, and they think it's going to work, and they don't realise the blokes last week were using exactly the same thing, and the week before and the week before.
So it's little tweaks, isn't it?
Little tweaks,
stay ahead.
Exactly. So we've got, for all intents and purposes, what looks like a lead clip system there, which it is, but it's a running lead clip rather than a fixed one. So basically I've got a little quick link on the end of that fused leader there. You could tie it to the end of the mono as well if you wanted to and use tubing with it. But the beauty of it is when you pull it into the lead clip, it goes into under just a tiny amount of tension. So it's semi-fixed to start off with. So if I hold that lead up, you can see there, it's just, you know, it's
enough to hold it.
Enough to lift the lead off the bottom. So the fish does feel the weight of the lead, but as soon as I shake my hand, it's off straight away.
I'm running away.
I'm running away. So the fish picks it up, tries to shake out the hook using the weight of the lead. The lead then slides away from the fish, and they're giving it all that, trying to get away.
Yeah.
Then further down the leader there, we've got a bead that actually stops the lead, so you get another jolt.
Yeah.
Now that bead will move and end up coming off the end.
So it's perfectly safe.
So it's perfectly safe, but if it comes off the end on the bite, then the lead slides up the line, it'll come back down during the fight, but end up on top of the leader.
Yeah, nightmare. So it's bouncing around.
It's bouncing around. Yeah. It's not a nice way to play the fish. So it is a safe system, but it just means you're not playing them on sort of like a semi-zig rig almost.
Of course,
you know?
of course.
And then hook link wise, just as new materials come available, you know, I just update things to try and make them work more and more effectively.
So this is a stiff material like the mouth trap, something like that, yep?
Yep. Basically, it's the same sort of material you would use for a chod rig.
Okay.
And it's a classic combi rig, a combination of materials. So we've got a very stiff mono there, and then a soft braided section at the end. So what's basically happening on the bottom of the lake, it's pushing the hook bait away from the lead because it's so stiff. So when the fish picks up the bait, it's feeling the lead straight away. It's not all coiled up and the fish has got to straighten all the coils before it hits the lead.
Yep.
It's hitting the lead almost instantly, and that's the beauty of a combi rig with such a stiff section to it.
Great. So let's talk about how you tie it up. Firstly, at the link loop end.
Yeah, I've got a little teardrop shaped loop on the end there. I've just tied that with a 2-turn half blood knot. So very, very simple. Pull that up tight, it locks itself in position, just cut the tag end off. And then underneath that huge bit of putty there, I've got just a normal rig ring, and I've done the same thing at the other end, a 2-turn half blood knot. Then to that, I've tied a bit of 50-pound armour cord, just with a grinner knot onto that rig ring on the other side, and then slide on your bit of shrink tube, and then I'm tying on a size 4 curve hook with my sort of version of a whipping knot, and that means I can get that soft section really, really short. All I want is enough for the hook to lift up in the fish's mouth, turn and catch hold. Don't want a great big soft section because again it gives them an opportunity for it to go in, it not be tight, and then blow it back out again. Yeah. The shrink tube, when it's shrunk down, goes in at a real acute angle, and that's because on this place you've got to use a barbless hook, and I think that helps the hook turn even more aggressively, but also, and most importantly, it grips around their bottom lip so it doesn't come out as easily.
Yeah, I noticed when I put my finger inside there, it's just grabbing.
Exactly.
And that's like the bottom lobe of a really big carp, isn't it?
But yeah, exactly. That bottom lip area, it's just designed to turn and grab around that and stay there.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people pull out a fish on places like this. The fish have got bony mouths, you're playing them at long range. And with a normal rig without that bit of shrink tube, a lot of fish do get lost. I say that to everyone, put that on and you won't lose any more, and people will carry on losing them, and eventually they get fed up with it, put one bit on and land every fish after that.
Yeah, of course.
Something as simple as that can make a real big difference.
It's lazy angling not to put it in.
Yeah, it is actually.
Right. Now, before you move on, just tell me why you've got the putty on there, Dan.
First of all, it's to sink everything down on the bottom. I think if the rig's completely pinned down, it's much harder for the fish to see, whatever colour it is. But also, it's helping to pull the hook down in the fish's bottom lip. So as it sucks it in, when that goes slack, just before the fish moves, then it's just pulling it down and just helping that hook to take hold, you know, before the fish has even moved. So just helps to startle the fish basically, and of course it's covering up that join between the two there, so that, you know, that's quite unsightly, that rig ring, with the knots either side of it. So it neatens all that up. And basically, once the rig's spent, I will just cut the braided, pull the putty off, cut the braided section off, keep the boom, that lasts forever, and then just tie it back on again. You know?
Okay, brilliant. Now, Dan, I can see you've got the rig ring on there. How critical is the point that the hair comes off the hook?
It makes a lot of difference, mate, to be honest. That if you've got a heavy bait like this bottom bait, you want the ring as far down the hook as possible, as close to the point, because you're basically transferring the weight of the bait onto the point of the hook. So if I put that across my hand, you can see there it's turning straight away.
Yeah.
You know, the hook point wants to lay into my hand anyway, but as soon as I tighten the hook link, that's turning into
Like
it.
it's pulling that way. It's almost like it's pulling it in for you.
Exactly,
isn't it? Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Now, if I had a very, very light hook bait, what that would do is pull the point of the hook away from the fish's bottom lip so it wouldn't turn as quickly. So for a light hook bait, you have the ring further down. So say you're going to use a very slow sinking snowman or something like that, you have the thing further down so that when it goes in the fish's mouth, the hook again is over that way, so the point's facing down.
Trying to lift it into your palm, if you like. Yeah.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly. So the heavier the bait, the further down the hook. And you know, a lot of people just have the knotless knot coming off the back of the hook, have the hair on there. You know, they catch a few fish on it, but they're going to catch more just by adding that rig ring on. It's very simple to do. Just tie a simple overhand knot in the hair before you tie the loop, and then the ring's on there.
Now, I know you're a crafty little sod, and I can see you've hidden another little gem in the grass here.
Yep.
Thought I wouldn't see that, didn't you? Let's have a look at this one.
Right, but it's effectively the same thing. It's an easier one to tie because you're not joining two materials. It's a stiff coated hook link. It's what I've used most of the time on here, but you can see it's not quite as stiff as that bristle filament.
Okay.
You know, so it doesn't react quite as quickly. Better than a normal soft coated hook link or a braided hook link. A lot of people use braid on here, which I would never do.
Yep.
You know, I think the fish can get away with it so much easier.
Well, that's some great advice. You heard it from the man himself. Some little tweaks, a bit of extra effort, and you'll be ahead of the man next door.